The Knicks are good. They play hard. They're gritty. It's going to be a grueling series, not going to be a pushover whatsoever. But I just think that there's not enough ways for that team to generate offense. That every offensive possession looks so difficult for them at times. And Jalen Brunson's terrific. He absolutely scares me. He's one of the best players in the NBA, and I think has elevated himself to a top 10 there. But like when you look beyond him, I know I said this to you guys, but like Joel Embiid's still going to be the best player on the floor, and the gap between Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Maxey is much smaller than the gap between Tyrese Maxey and whoever the next best player is. That I do think like Maxey's in kind of that conversation, and I think the Sixers just have more ways to win than this Knicks team do. They're just going to have to absolutely shut things down to a defensive matchup. And then at the light of the end of that tunnel of that matchup is either the Bucks or Pacers, which I'm not sure who's going to win that series, but I think the Sixers can take either of that team. So, Romp, I'm with you that the Sixers are better when they're underdogs, but I would much rather be underdogs in the conference finals against the Celtics team when there's a little momentum behind them and all these things. But I feel pretty good about the Sixers against each of those matchups I just named until we get to Boston.
The reason I'm scared of Brunson is because, like, did you guys see what he did to the Miami Heat in the playoffs last year with RJ Barrett shooting 15% from three, Julius Randle averaging like 7 points, zero spacing. This dude's putting up 29 points against the Miami Heat Eric Spoelstra defense. He had Eric Spoelstra at the press conference perplexed. He was like, I don't know what to do. Eric Spoelstra. And he's gotten better this year. I don't think people realize, but Jalen Brunson's been a top 5 player in the NBA this year. And the Sixers, what's an issue? Point of attack defense. Jalen Brunson would fry us. At least with the Celtics, you can kind of get in their heads and their questionable decision makers in terms of passing. Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Derek White's gonna, be Kobe Bryant. But then you got Porzingis as well. You put him at the 5, he's gonna get in foul trouble. And that's a whole nother thing. Like Porzingis, he's not a good rebounder. They're not a good rebounding team, the Celtics. I just feel like last year we took the Celtics to 7 games, and that team was extremely flawed. We had George Niang playing big minutes. We had PJ Tucker. I'm telling you, Celtics are overrated, and the Sixers match up better. And remember, Marcus Smart was cooking us in the first 3 games. Marcus Smart felt like the second best player on the Celtics. And the thing is, in the playoffs, they're going to miss Marcus Smart because Drew Holiday, questionable playoff performer as well. I'm telling you, Celtics are frauds.
Romp, why'd you have to bring that up, man? I have nightmares at night, and two ghosts come out of my closet, and it's George Niang and PJ Tucker playing power forward and center in the fourth quarter. Dude, that was the fact that we didn't get swept is unbelievable. I wouldn't say I'm more scared of the Knicks. I think Brunson can go off for 50, but they're going to need Josh Hart and DiVincenzo to also do something. They're going to need, who am I missing? They're going to need points from somebody else. They're going to need OG to have a big offensive game. They're going to need more than just Brunson at the end of the day. I think they're deep a lot of times. A lot of times all those guys go off and they score 130 or 140, but a lot of times they don't. I just think they would have to have a lot more contribution from everybody else, even if Brunson does fry us. But you're not wrong, I don't think. Brunson gets to the point where he's completely unguardable. I do agree with you on the Boston Celtics, though. And I think I've been saying this all season. I'm not scared of them. And it's just the vibes that I get from them. I just get such a diva type of vibe. I just get such like they act like they have 5 rings. They act like they deserve something. They complain to the officials the entire game. And I know people are like, you're a Joel Embiid fan. How could you say that? But I just get this, like, you owe us something vibe from the Boston Celtics. I don't feel like they have hunger. I don't feel like they have a chip on their shoulder. I think they feel like a little bit higher than everyone, and it comes back to bite them. That's why they end up playing down to competition. By the way, that's not a real thing, playing down to competition. That's just you weren't prepared because you thought you had an easy win ahead of you. And maybe that's what that means. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's when all these teams are healthy, it's going to come down to coaching, and it's Nick Nurse versus Doc Rivers, and Doc Rivers 2.0, Joe Mazzulla. I have no fear in the world because these guys have the biggest loser energy as coaches I've ever seen. This dude, Mazzulla, sits up in front of the media and is just waiting to defend his honor. He does not answer questions honestly. He fires back at the media. He reminds me so much of Doc Rivers, and it feels so defensive. It feels so insecure. I don't think he has any idea what he's doing. Thrown in there when what's his name got fired for whatever he was doing. I think
Udoka.
yeah. I think Missoula is way in over his head, and I think eventually the Celtics are going to accept that fact. I have no when it comes down to it, I think it comes down to coaching, and I don't think either of those coaches have winning attitudes.